When your energy no longer chases the dismissive avoidant, everything changes. There comes a moment in every connection with an avoidant partner when you finally feel the exhaustion in your bones. You've sent the texts, waited for the replies, walked on emotional eggshells and doubted your own worth just to maintain something that barely breathes unless you're the one doing the CPR. But something happens, quietly, slowly, powerfully, when your energy stops chasing. The game changes. The dynamic flips. And not because you're playing reverse psychology, but because your nervous system simply refuses to live on a roller coaster anymore. That shift, when your soul is no longer willing to bleed for breadcrumbs, is the moment everything begins to transform. You see, avoidants feed on the dance of pursuit and withdrawal. They often feel overwhelmed by closeness, yet strangely validated by being wanted. When you chase, it affirms their belief that intimacy equals entrapment. They back away, not to hurt you, but because their nervous system translates closeness as danger. So they retreat, hoping you'll keep the distance safe for them. And you do. You explain, you reassure, you soften your needs. You send a follow-up text, maybe 3. But when you stop, not out of bitterness, but out of self-honoring peace, they feel the loss of gravity. That invisible force that held the orbit together is gone, and it is noticeable. The first thing that happens when your energy stops chasing is clarity. Not just for you, but even for them. They notice the absence, not in a dramatic movie scene way, but in the subtle shifts of power and presence. Your name stops popping up on their phone. Your concern isn't wrapped around their moods anymore. You're not inquiring, rescuing, or offering emotional padding for their silence. And that silence suddenly feels different to them. Not soothing, not victorious, but empty. It's the echo of space you once filled. And because avoidants are rarely in touch with their own emotional needs, this absence often triggers a discomfort they can't name. Meanwhile, you start feeling lighter. Initially, there's grief. Letting go of the chase feels like abandonment. But soon you begin to feel your own energy returning to you. You're not leaking anymore. You have the bandwidth to think about your dreams, your friendships, your inner world. The mental weight of decoding every message, analyzing every interaction, begins to fade. You're no longer in survival mode. That kind of emotional withdrawal is not cold-hearted, it is a homecoming. You start becoming your own safe space. And this inner safety is what truly begins to heal the wound that attracted the avoidant dynamic in the first place. Avoidants are not evil. They are often deeply wounded people who equate love with suffocation or loss of freedom. But when you stop chasing them, you're not punishing them. You're simply refusing to abandon yourself. This subtle difference is everything. It is not an act of revenge. It is an act of remembrance. You remember who you were before you thought you had to earn love. You remember that connection should feel safe and mutual, not like an emotional audition you keep failing no matter how hard you try. And here's where the most unexpected shift happens. The avoidant often comes closer. Not always, and not always in the way you might hope. But the energetic balance begins to recalibrate. When you no longer orbit them, they start noticing their own loneliness. They may even try to re-engage, not because they've changed overnight, but because the emotional economy has shifted. They can feel your absence. Your energy is no longer funding their emotional safety, and that silence forces them to face their own emptiness. Some reach out, some panic, some grow, others retreat deeper. But no matter their response, you remain anchored, not because they finally see you, but because you've finally seen yourself. This process of stepping back is not glamorous. It is not a power move. It is often full of pain, doubts, and nights where you wonder if you've made a mistake. But with time, something extraordinary happens. You begin to regulate yourself. Your highs and lows settle. You feel peace in places where anxiety used to live. You smile without waiting for a reply. You breathe deeper. You realize that the emotional hunger that drove the chase wasn't really about them. It was about your need to feel seen, chosen, enough. And now you are slowly learning to give that to yourself. When your energy stops chasing, you gain something more valuable than their attention. You gain your dignity. You start noticing red flags you once romanticized. The way they avoided hard conversations, their inability to show up, the inconsistency you used to make excuses for. Suddenly, it all feels too costly for your peace. The same behaviors you once tried to fix or understand now feel beneath the version of you who no longer negotiates for love. You're no longer a detective in their emotional mystery. You've resigned from a role that never paid you anything but heartache. And for the first time in a long time, your focus turns inward. What do you want? What kind of love feels safe, expressive, and secure? You realize that chemistry is not enough, that silence shouldn't feel like punishment, that love should not be something you have to work so hard to receive. This awakening does not make you bitter, it makes you discerning. You begin to choose differently. You no longer chase people who make you feel invisible. You don't beg for clarity, you expect it. You don't explain your worth, you embody it. Avoidance may or may not return. Some will sense the shift in you and come closer with curiosity, maybe even fear. Others will double down on their distance. But now the outcome doesn't define your value. Whether they come back or disappear, you remain intact, whole, grounded. You've stopped performing. You've stopped hoping that crumbs will someday turn into a feast. You've realized that the right connection will not require you to shrink, chase, or decode emotional riddles just to be loved. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It comes in waves, some soft, some crashing. There will be moments when you're tempted to chase again, to re-engage, to send that one last message. But with each wave you resist, you grow stronger. You begin to trust silence. You begin to see withdrawal not as a rejection of you, but as a reflection of their own inner walls. And most importantly, you stop taking it personally. Their distance isn't proof of your inadequacy, it is a mirror of their fear. And that mirror no longer reflects your self-worth. So what really changes when your energy no longer chases the avoidant? Everything. You step out of the pattern. You reclaim your emotional sovereignty. You stop looking at love through the eyes of survival and begin to see it through the lens of wholeness. You stop settling for the bare minimum. You stop interpreting anxiety as love, and you start choosing relationships that feel like home, not like a battlefield. In the end, the most powerful love story is not the one where they finally change for you. It's the one where you finally change for yourself. So if you've reached that sacred point where your energy no longer chases, where your heart no longer begs, honor it. That shift is not weakness, it's wisdom. You are not losing them. You are finding you. And in that quiet, powerful transformation, everything begins to align. The peace you feel now, that's your new standard. So breathe deep, walk forward, and let those who are meant for your energy rise to meet it. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this truth today. And remember, your love was never too much. It was just misplaced. Take it back. It's yours now.